Hello YouTube, Mizuno291 here again, making my video on my thoughts about the Cowboy game against the Giants the other day. I said there'd be another one, and I also decided to title this kind of my summary of the season, what I think about the whole football season this year, as far as just from a Cowboy standpoint. It's Wednesday now, and I've had time to watch the game 3 times. I've had time to sit and think about the season. I'm happy. If you'd have told me we're going out first playoff game again, I'd have been really upset. However, if you tell me we're going 13-3, that's pretty good. I don't like the way we went 13-3 because I think the Cowboys did it pretty opposite. I like to see a team roll into the playoffs on a high note, with gaining momentum, getting better, and the Cowboys didn't. They peaked. Well, I can tell you exactly when they peaked. They peaked in the first half of the Packers game. Halftime of that Packers game, they knew they were number 1 seed. That game was locked up, and they just coasted for the rest of the season and thought we expect it. It's been a long time since we won a playoff game, and it's getting kind of old. Anyway, the game, I was really, really worried going into the game about one thing and one thing in particular, and that was Wade switching the lineup the starting lineup right before the game. Obviously, he didn't watch the Mavericks last year and Avery Johnson, or he would know that that doesn't work well. Dallas Mavericks were the number 1 seed last year, and Avery Johnson decided to switch the lineup right before playoff time, and it didn't work out well. Putting Marion Barber as a starting running back wasn't a good idea. It's easy to say now, but I didn't think so beforehand, because we need him in the second half when it's time to wear people down, and he spent himself in the first half. We're sure he had a great game. It looks good overall, but you guys know that was all in the first half. He didn't do any of that in the second half. And I didn't agree with that. The game itself, quickly the Giants came out and went down the field and scored because Dallas defense forgot to get off the bus and tackle. Got just horrible missed tackles on that play. But right after that, when the Cowboys came out and went 3 and out, I knew they were in big trouble, because championship teams do not respond to an opening touchdown by going 3 and out. They just don't do it. I'm not saying you have to score, and you can punt, but at least drive the ball a little bit, flop the field position, show some effort. So anyway, that was weird. And then the big drive we had, the 20-play, 90-yard, punch in the mouth drive, that was awesome. I thought, man, we have taken over this game again, and we're gonna go, and it's gonna be pretty easy in the second half. But here comes Eli and the Giants again, and that touchdown right before halftime was a kick square in the nuts to the Cowboys, and gave them so much more momentum. And momentum is so big in football, and the whole game turned right there. And then at halftime, the Giants coaches made some outstanding adjustments defensively. They were depleted in the secondary, and they decided to blitz Tony Romo and go one-on-one with the receivers. But people say, hey, man, we got a depleted secondary. Why would you want to do that? Well, the Cowboys receivers, if you'll notice, T.O. wasn't 100%. Terry Glenn, every time he tried to cut, he fell down. I felt sorry for him. He did not look right. And Patrick Creighton, I don't even know where to start with Patrick Creighton. I'll get into him in a minute, but he didn't scare him, obviously. And when the other thing that can kill you is Jason Witten. Well, if you blitz, Jason Witten's got to stay in and block and help the 2 tackles against Umanura and Strahan. because those guys, they can't. Colombo and Flozell can't handle those by themselves. I mean, on play to play maybe, but over the whole game, no. You can't handle both those guys. They're too talented, they're too strong, they're too fast. So those adjustments were huge, I thought, by the Giants defensive coaches. Just unbelievable job of coaching in that game. A hard-fought third quarter, defensive struggle, and then coming down to the fourth quarter, I mean, we all know how it ended, but and one more time, Brandon Jacobs, that was sorry. There's something weird about you, man. You got a lot of pent-up anger, man. And I hope it doesn't land you in jail someday, but man, you are, maybe that's just energy, but man, come on with the just looking for somebody to throw the ball at, look like, and then throwing it at the shot clock, listen to me, the play clock. And by the way, if somehow the guy that gave you the ball, if you're watching this video, why in the world did you give him that ball? When he looked at him and asked for the ball, I'd have given anything if you'd have just looked at him and thrown it over your shoulder into the stands. Would have never given you that ball. There's no way. Anyway, Brandon Jacobs scores. Everybody knew what play was coming. We knew we weren't going to stop him. Touchdown, that's fine. End of the game, Romo panics, doesn't get it done, and that was panic. He was frustrated. He was out of his element, and they got in his head. The constant pressure, the blitzes got in his head. He made stupid mistakes. Taking that sack down that last drive was just, you can't do that. But he did, and now Patrick Creighton, the last route you ran, I can't believe you stopped that route. You don't ever stop a route. You know, you learned that in 7th grade. Had you finished the route, the ball was going to land in your lap. Now, whether you would have caught it is another thing, considering you must have brought someone else's hands that day. Patrick Creighton's really usually a pretty sure-handed receiver. But you got everything coming to you, man, with that, all the trash talking you did before that game, man. I feel bad for you that you didn't play better, because, man, you're wide open to a bunch of criticism right now. Bottom line, Cowboys did not play as well as the Giants, didn't want it as bad as the Giants. They looked like they deserved it when they didn't. They didn't deserve anything. They looked like it was just their right to get Green Bay again, and it wasn't. However, tied at halftime, if you'd have told me we were going to hold the Giants to 54, 57 yards, whatever, I'd have said, hey, we're gold. But the Giants defense, man, as beat up as they were, they manned up. And I haven't seen an injury report on Ross, but being from Texas down here, y'all got a special player out there. I hope he's all right. I hated to see him get injured as a Texas fan. He is a shutdown corner. He's awesome. He's the real deal. He's going to be there for a long time. He's fun to watch, and y'all will really enjoy him. He's a good kid. So that's my take on the Cowboy game and the season. Now it's on to basketball, hockey, and NASCAR's coming. NASCAR's big. Big NASCAR fan. I'm a junior fan, kind of just because I was a fan of his father, but mainly I kind of like this Clint Boyer kid, and we'll get into NASCAR later. It's another time, another place. Hey, Cowboy fans, next year, again. Next year's pretty promising. Got 2 first-round draft picks. Would like to get the defensive back out of Oklahoma. His name's slipping my mind right now. And Felix Jones. Felix Jones out of Arkansas. Be a good back to put here with Marion Barber after we lose Julius Jones probably to free agency. Maybe another defensive back, a wide receiver, some good potential. Coaching staff is being just torn apart right now, but hopefully they can get that figured out. Get some coaches back in here that can motivate, and we'll go from there. Spring training is just a few pitchers and catchers report here pretty soon, so